I feel like I'm in the radical center, not only politically, but the radical center in terms of sports. Like there's a place between he sucks and he's awesome, and that's where I am with Baker. There's a place between he hasn't played well and he's hurt and he's bad, right? That's where I am with Baker. And Odell Beckham Jr., look, I don't know where he'll end up, but this, I want to be on a playoff team. Bro, you were on a playoff team. You're on a playoff team. So he'll be released at waiver wire tomorrow. Dan Campbell, number one pick in the waiver wire, already said, not interested, moving on. There's some talk of Seattle, and we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff to this to unpack. You know, I saw Justin Jefferson and Cameron Dantzler, two guys who are close with Odell, know Odell pretty well, obviously, LSU guys. They wore free Odell gear. By the way, fellas, you feel it's one of those like he's going to be a free agent. You can't get any more free than that. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you're a Minnesota Viking. Kevin Stefanski is the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He came to Cleveland from Minnesota. His offense, in many ways, very similar to the one Coobs is running in Minnesota. Right? And remember, the same guy, Kevin Stefanski, like he butted heads with Stephon Diggs. Obviously, Stephon Diggs performed better then and has performed exceptionally with the Buffalo Bills. But I don't know if so many of these guys just lack of wherewithal and understanding. You're basically, if you're siding with Odell Beckham Jr., you're siding against the coaching staff, and the coaching staff is close to your coaching staff in Minnesota. Right? And the way this business, and I'm talking about the NFL works, is like any business. When you need something, who you're going to call on, people you've coached with, worked with before, or connections, it's a football family. Like, I don't know. You're saying F the coaches, which is what those shirts say. That doesn't feel like guys that understand how this league actually works. But I don't know how anybody could view it as anything more than a win for Baker Mayfield. Right? Hadn't been playing well. Team hadn't been playing well. Gets put on blast by Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad, which felt like it was an inside job because somebody gave him the all-22 footage. And I don't know if OBJ Sr. or OBS, or Odell Beckham Sr. has access to the ability to highlight and point things out, things that were done. But it felt like a very personal attack. And the only answer you can have is with the scoreboard, and Baker's team lit it up. Here's Baker after the game.
I wish him well. I really do. Like I said, my feelings haven't changed. I wish him well. You know, that's from a personal standpoint. He's a good friend of mine. We still haven't talked, but that doesn't change things. I wish him well. I wish him the best in his career, but I'm worried about the guys in our locker room. I'm proud of these guys, how they were able to focus up despite all the bull that was going on this week, and how they were able to do their job. So that's why I appreciate this group of guys and the staff that we have. So we're going to see if we can build on it and continue to get better.
Here's Kevin Stefanski, his head coach.
Our guys are pros, and in this game there are going to be things that come up week to week that you have to address and deal with and move on, and that's what we did, and I felt like the focus was there all week.
It's not just about being a professional. It's about overcoming adversity, right? Adversity exposes. We all know people like this. We know people who are better when they're in a time crunch and people who are better when things are completely planned out. I've said this before about the difference between Brett Favre and Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning, one of the reasons he struggled so much in the playoffs is Peyton Manning, pour over tape, unbelievable preparation, knew where everybody was supposed to be when they were supposed to be there. But what happens in the NFL is, especially in the playoffs, is stuff goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. You play in New England and the headset doesn't work or the ball is overinflated, right? You play in Pittsburgh and the weather is terrible. You play, you play somewhere, when they used to play in New England would bump them and hold them off the routes. The officiating changes. Peyton has always been a guy where in football, if everything was going according to plan, there's never been anybody better. Brett Favre is hey, let me get back there and figure it out as we go. Right? Brett Favre is a wing it guy. And it's different. But adversity exposes. Some guys are not good under adversity. Some guys are not good when they're being criticized. Baker Mayfield is at his best. He's not a great quarterback. He's never going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to be Pat Mahomes. He's never going to be Tom Brady. I don't believe he's a terrible quarterback. I think he's a pretty damn good leader. And I think the best part of him you saw this weekend, which is when you tell him he can't, he tells you F you, and he does it with his team. Right? The reason Baker has always endeared himself to teammates is not because of the ball that comes out or his vision or anything else. It's because of moments like this. And that has a value. That has an absolute definable value. Is that $35 million a year? I don't believe so. Right? I just don't. Because he's still surrounded by really good dudes. But that was you don't play that well unless everybody plays that well. Defense, offense, special teams, especially the offensive and defensive lines, and they all played well. And it doesn't mean they all played for Baker, but if they weren't playing for Baker, you would have known it. That's a win. And bigger than one in the column. My favorite kind of math and my least favorite kind of math are both always on display in sports. Least favorite math is the transitive property. You guys know the transitive property, right? If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C, right? Because the transitive property is if I beat a team and you beat a team, well, then they must, right? But it doesn't work in sports. Because if the Jets are better than the Titans and the Titans are better than the Rams, then the Jets must be better than the Rams. That's the transitive property. It doesn't work. And I know both Brown and Julio Jones were out for the game. But the point is that the transitive property, Jacksonville's better than Buffalo, and Buffalo just went in and mollywopped Kansas City. Well, then Jacksonville's better than Kansas City. Nope. That's why I don't like the transitive property. What I do like is the math like this that you have in sports. Addition by subtraction. Less is more. If you don't believe me, I give you the Cleveland Browns kicking the crap out of a very good Cincinnati Bengal team.